Hey everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics. Don't forget to tune in for our live show on Tuesday, November 6th. That's right, Election Day, from 8 to 9 p.m. Central. We'll be broadcasting live on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube. Hope to see you there. Hi everyone, this is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics, starting to get my voice ever so slowly back. And I am here in this segment with Nick Knudsen. Hi Nick.
Hi Kelly.
Nick and I have gotten to know each other over Twitter, doing activism over the past 6 months or so. I thought it would be great to have Nick come on now because we are starting an exciting project for this last little bit of time going into the election. So Nick, could you start by just telling us a little bit about kind of how you got involved in activism?
Well, sure. I don't think that my story is probably all that dissimilar from a lot of people who are currently involved in activism. I woke up on the morning of November 9th, 2016 and said, nope, not okay. And it's been kind of off to the races since then. I'm a writer in my day job. So I started just trying to get my thoughts out on paper and wrote a few kind of blog posts and made my own Weebly blog. And then one of my pieces got picked up by the Huffington Post. So I became a Huffington Post contributor. And then I got on Twitter and started sort of networking in with good folks like you and you know, the hundreds and thousands of other people that I've encountered on there. And, you know, it's just kind of a slow evolution of just getting more and more deeply involved from kind of tangential involvement to, you know, to what we're doing now. Let's see, in March of this year of 2018, I launched my own website, which is called Demwrite Press. My Twitter handle is Demwrite, DEMWRITE. I'm a Democrat and I write, so it's Demwrite. Demwrite Press was really meant to be a place where I could post my writing and others could post their writing, you know, sort of activist type folks or people associated with campaigns. But, you know, with the site originally had a kind of a multi-pronged focus, and it still does really, but sort of defending democracy, you know, exposing corruption, providing, you know, good analysis and truth, and but also focusing on helping to elect Democrats because there is one solution to the situation that we're in right now, and that's flipping Congress. So I ended up getting a bunch of candidates to contribute to the site too, which has been really fun, and many of the ones that you've talked to on the show. So we have some mutual friends. Yeah, so that's been rolling, and now we're on to sort of our capstone project for the election cycle.
Yeah, and so as you've been doing this, the project you've done so far with Demwrite Press, have you been surprised at all by sort of the amount of traction some of these pieces have gotten? Is that sort of what you expected? I feel like for me, a lot of this stuff with the podcast has kind of grown way more than I had envisioned it. You know, like we weren't even thinking about talking to candidates at first. It was just sort of something that happened organically. And then all of a sudden we found ourselves talking to 150 candidates. Is that similar to the experience that you had?
Oh, completely. I mean, it wasn't really, I mean, really Demwrite Press was meant to be a place for me to throw my thoughts up, but it did have the contributor capacity. So the night that I launched it, I tweeted out, hey, if anybody else wants to contribute on this, I launched this sort of passion project. And immediately I got like a bunch of people, like really smart, articulate people who were like, yeah, totally. I want to have some place where I can share my thoughts. So yeah, and then the ways that things spread, I mean, I think there's a thirst. You know, the people are thirsty for reasonable opinion and analysis, and you and I and others out there who've done, you know, interesting grassroots projects over the last 2 years, have just happened to strike a chord with something that the public needed, and something that I think the mainstream media doesn't provide, because so much of what's available is equal time. When one party is pretty flagrantly undermining democracy and one party isn't, and I don't have a whole lot of patience or tolerance for that kind of philosophy.
All right, so we're now 5 days out from the election, the most important election of our lifetimes. Indeed. So this new project that you're working on, that we're working on, is something called Wavecast. So how did this sort of come into being?
A mutual friend of ours, Jack Snow, and I were having a conversation, and we said, you know what? How anticlimactic is this going to be? We've been in this robust community of people who are trying to get out the vote. They're trying to fight suppression. They're trying to fight racism. We've been working together this whole time, and we're going to hand the reins over to the mainstream media on the most important night of our lives, or one of the most important nights of our lives. And it's just like, no, how could we do this differently? So that was kind of the originating conversation, was just, no, we should be doing this together, because this whole project of the Blue Wave has been totally grassroots, and us doing things together and taking power into our own hands. So originally we were thinking like, we can rig up YouTube and have this kind of multi-pronged broadcast of through election night, and we'll just take over. It only took about a day for us to figure out that even though we could have found the energy to get behind that, the amount of sort of technological infrastructure and planning and stuff that would need to go into that, we came to it too late.
Cable stations have a lot more money than we do.
yeah. Stay tuned for 2020. We'll see. But for this year, we sort of backed up a little bit and said, well, you know what, we have this digital infrastructure built on Twitter, which is a really good. Twitter's really bad at some things and it's really good at other things. And for the type of thing that is happening around elections, which is, rapid fire news cycle, it's actually really good. And so we thought, okay, well, let's broadcast the Blue Wave via tweet. So the project that we came up with is Wavecast. So we're broadcasting the wave, and we're kind of building the plane as we fly it. But as you know, I think it'll be a really interesting way to experience not only election night, because Wavecast actually starts on Saturday. To experience the sort of the last weekend and the final get out the vote campaigns and sort of the closing statements of all of the candidates that we've been following for the last 2 years, and then election night as well, which will be just totally crazy, as it always is. But we think that we've come up with a way to sort of bring a little bit of order to the chaos through this project.
And so you have people, or more specifically, I guess, Twitter accounts, who are sort of doing different roles within Wavecast. So what's kind of the overall structure if people are interested in getting involved?
Totally, yeah, and we'd love more involvement, so I'll talk about that. So at the most public point of connection to Wavecast, we've got a variety of what we're calling anchor accounts, kind of like anchor person, but anchor accounts who are going to have a national focus. They're going to be providing a rundown from Saturday on about get out the vote efforts across the country and key issues that have impacted the campaign, like healthcare, talk about sort of innovations that have happened over the course of the 2018 cycle, like postcards, which weren't really a thing in previous election cycles. And really just the purpose of this project is to broadcast the blue wave, which, we've all got our fingers crossed that that's actually a thing, that's going to happen. But to broadcast the blue wave from the perspective of the people who built it. So those are the kinds of things that we're going to want to talk about, in addition to, of course, sharing, critical information about voting, about voter suppression efforts that are happening, and then, of course, information about candidates and results when it gets to that point. So the anchors will sort of summarize issues like that from a nationwide perspective. Then we have field reporters who are state-based, who are going to be focusing on particular races across the country, from city council to ballot measures to state legislatures to House and Senate races. And these field reporters, they're us. These aren't. I mean, there are some people who are involved who have some journalism background, but these are activists who know these candidates and know these races backwards and forwards. They know every single horrible, terrible thing that the Republican opponent has ever done and every awful vote that they've ever taken, and they know all of the really cool background about and history about this remarkable crop of blue wave candidates that we have across the country. So my original tweet that I sent out about this project was, right now, hundreds of reporters across the country are just now doing research about these candidates. Are you excited to listen to their analysis? No. I mean, listen to the analysis of the people who've been knocking on doors for them for 6 to 12 months. That's way more compelling, at least to me.
Yeah, definitely. No, I find sometimes that I'm listening to, other podcasters who shall remain nameless, but who are, much sort of bigger, better informed kind of podcasters, so to speak. And I realize that no, in fact, for certain races, I know way more than they do, because I've been following particular candidates, because I've talked to them, and that's even more true for somebody who lives in a district and has been out knocking doors for a year now for this candidate.
The national media and the folks like that, there's been a lot to report on that is not election-oriented. The Trump administration has been a complete disaster, and there are bombs being thrown all over the place. So, I get it. But, when it comes down to it, just like you said, the people on the ground are the people who really know the issues. They know that, in Eastern Oregon, that Jamie McLeod Skinner is connecting with residents in the very red and rural, district there, because she talks about broadband access and healthcare access, and that Greg Walden is the architect of the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, and talks out of both sides of his mouth about it. And the national media is just not going to get to that level of detail about 400 and whatever, well, really thousands of races if you include the state legislature races. So yeah, we're just better positioned to tell the story from our perspective in this particular race, and we're looking forward to it, right?
Absolutely. If I don't lose my voice again.
Yeah. Hey, drink lots of warm water with lemon in it.
I was going with Chardonnay, but if you really think that warm water with lemon's a better plan, I suppose I can go with that.
The warm water with lemon can be a chaser.
All right. If people would like to get involved as field reporters, if they're going to be out doing the knocking on doors anyway and want to tweet about it and feed into our network, how do they do that?
Totally. So if you go to Dim Right Press, there's up in the menu, there's a Wavecast menu item. So you click on that, and that page explains the project, and there's the form that people can fill out if they want to actually join. And we would love to have folks. I'll say it's kind of interesting. There's been a sort of splotchy interest from people. I mean, we have well over 100 people who've signed up as field reporters, and it's growing by the minute. But it seemed to be kind of congregated in certain states, which is interesting. So we're really doing well in spots like California and Ohio and North Carolina, but we really need more people in places like Wisconsin and Minnesota and Iowa. So, and really we need as many people as we can get, because there's no end to the number of interesting sort of angles and stories on the Blue Wave. You could have 1,000 people, and you couldn't hit every facet and every race. So definitely, we would love to have people sign up. The other thing that people can do, if they don't want to literally sign up to be a designated field reporter, is they can use our hashtags. So we're going to have, and we'll be tweeting about this from yours and my account and some of the other anchor accounts over the next few days. But our hashtag is hashtag Wavecast, and then hashtag Wavecast XX, and fill in the X for the state abbreviation. So the California Wavecast information would be Wavecast CA. So when people are out, canvassing, or they're at a rally and they want to post some video of a candidate speaking, or they had an interesting conversation with a 97-year-old activist who's out there trying to get somebody elected, and it's compelling, they can tweet it out and use the hashtags, and our field reporters will pick it up and we'll retweet it into the feed.
All right, excellent. And, of course, we at Two Broads Talking Politics will cap off our Wavecast, or probably not cap off because, who knows when we'll be done actually talking about the election.
Right.
But our sort of crowning moment will be our live show, which will be on Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. Central, when we will probably know some, but not all results. So that will be fun to talk through as things break while we're on the air.
Absolutely. And who's going to be on that?
Still a little bit TBA. So Sophie and I will actually be in the same room podcasting at the same time for the first time since we started this podcast. So that will be fun. And our husbands will be shushing our kids and telling them to go back to bed. And we've got some people who are going to call in and join us. I'm not sure who all yet. I think we're going to connect with our fellow podcasters from the End Times Pep Talk.
Excellent.
Who in Oregon.
Yep.
And we've got a few of the Ohio state level candidates who are good friends will probably be calling in, and hopefully they'll be calling in for us to congratulate. So so that's all still coming together, but I think it's going to be great, and we're really excited about actually going to be live. We'll see how all the technology works. This will be another one of those practice for 2020 sort of things.
Right. Well, I can't thank you enough, and Sophie, for all of the information that you've shared over the last year plus. And it's been a huge piece of my experience of the resistance and understanding all the really cool talent that's out there who are putting their best foot forward to take power into their own hands and stand up for their democracy. So it's been really fun, and I look forward to the cycle turns over. It's gonna be 2020 in 2 weeks. So
well, and long before 2020, we will have the Chicago city elections next spring, which is going to be super interesting and exciting for me, at least. So that's we're going to take a 1 week breather after the election, I think, if I can manage to actually stop podcasting for a whole week, and then we'll be hitting the ground again on things like that.
That's good. Well,
right.
I look forward to being back on.
Yes,
maybe
absolutely.
We can do it. Maybe we can 2 weeks out. Let's have a recap or something.
Hopefully a yay. But either way, I mean, I think no matter what happens, we have to sort of figure out, okay, where do we go from here?
What are the next steps? Yeah.
We're certainly, no matter how good a night it is, we're not going to have won everything all over the country. And so there will always be places where we need to push people. And even when Democrats get in office, we don't stop pushing them to be held accountable and do what we are hoping that they will do when they get in office. So,
yep.
All right. Well, go get some sleep,
Thank
Nick,
you.
and I'll try to do the same. And we've got a busy few days ahead of us.
See you on the Wavecast.
Thanks for listening to Two Broads Talking Politics. Our theme song is called Are You Listening? Off of the album Elephant Shaped Trees by the band Immunuri, and we're using it with permission of the band. Our logo and other original artwork is by Matthew Weflin and was created for use by this podcast.